Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome. Today, we have a two-time Emmy Award winner, a digital executive, and a co-founder of Midas Touch, which I can't wait to get into. Today, you are in a session with Brett Meiselas. Brett, how you
What's up,
doing?
Neeson? It's good to be here, man.
Man,
Thanks for having me.
we usually start the show with what inspired you when you woke up today?
Man, I would say the thing that's been inspiring me the last few days has just been the passion of the country right now. I mean, everything right now is obviously it's everything's crazy, right? Tensions are high, things are ramped up, and that makes me inspired every day to go out there and try to fight for people who are disenfranchised and try to fight for people who feel like they don't have a voice. And so if I could do my small part in giving people a voice, I will, be happy. So that's what I've been doing every day, and that's what really gets me out of bed. And seeing comments from people who like my work and who are pitching ideas and say, hey, like I've never donated before to any cause, I've never been politically active, but your video got me inspired. I mean, that's really what's been getting me up every morning. And when I say every morning, I mean I've been waking up at like 5:30 every morning and working nonstop.
I know when I seen you win an Emmy, your first Emmy, I seen Puff shot you out, and I know I hit you, and it was just this amazing thing of like, as creators, we often dream about being on that stage, but when somebody that you really care for and somebody that you support gets on stage and gets that gold trophy and grabs that quote unquote brass ring, you feel like you're a part of it, and you just want to just like cheer them on loud as possible and throw as many flowers as you can. So I know, like, so this is my time of giving you your flowers now.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. You've always been a supporter, and I've always loved all your work, and I love what you're doing with the show. So that means a lot coming from you. Yeah, I mean, winning the Emmys was one of the coolest experiences of my life, easily, especially that first time when you have never done it before and you're there and I mean, I was so nervous both times, just taking shots of whatever I could find on the table to calm the nerves with my team. But there's a lot of talented people in the categories and stuff, and you're around people who you recognize in the industry, and it all feels pretty surreal. And then when you hear your name called, I mean, it was one of the best moments of my life.
And to know you got two of those, and
I want to say this. I want to say this too, because there's a thought that like, and even like I at the time was like, oh man, now that I have this, like, I could get a job easy after this. Like, it's going to be like no big problem getting projects made, getting things, whatever. But it couldn't be further from the truth. Like every day, it's just every day. It's like, okay, that's one accolade, but you need to be grinding every day. It's not like you could then coast on the fact that you won this award or that you had some sort of success, because that stuff is fleeting. And it's really the passion that you put into your work that you keep with. Now, the one thing I can say is no matter what, no one could ever take that away from me. and that's what I, like, but at the same time, it's not like I'm going to get a gig or get a job or that people will like me more or less or whatever because of that award. You have to be constantly proving yourself all the time. And then with the latest project, I didn't have to prove myself to anybody because it's my own project. But I had to prove myself to the public and show that I could do more than all that stuff. So
I was just about to say that, like, with Midas Touch, you and your two other brothers, are you the youngest, oldest, middle?
So I'm the middle, and so basically, with Midas, first of all, I'll step back and I'll say Midas Touch is a political organization that my brothers and I founded, and it's spelled MEIDAS because our last name is Meiselas, MEI, so it's a little play on our last names. And we were sitting around our respective houses / apartments over in our self-isolation or quarantine or whatever you want to call it, and we were watching the news, and we were just like annoyed and pissed off, and we didn't know how to kind of channel that energy other than our text chains where we're like, what is happening? Like, what is going on in the world? What is this guy saying? What is this monster doing? And I kind of started off on my personal Twitter account, which you may have seen. I started just doing like random kind of jokey videos about things that were going on. And I noticed that they started to catch on. And once I noticed they started to catch on, I just had a chat with my brothers, and I said, I think there's a market for people who kind of want to speak out against everything that's happening and do videos in a way that's not being done, and put news out there and just media in general in a way that's not being done. So we kind of gathered and we decided, let's make this news website, which is what the original purpose of it was, called, and we came up with the name Midas Touch. And we all agreed that every day we would go and we would write articles and we would try to produce content for it and just try to build it up. Because honestly, we saw our time to strike, because we saw, everyone from CNN to ESPN to you name it, everyone's content started looking the same, because everybody was in self-isolation. Everybody was doing stuff the way you and I are doing it now, over Skypes, over video chats, over whatever. So we're like, at this point, our production value is the same as any multi-million-dollar organization. But then ultimately we released this video that I honestly made pretty quickly in the morning. It was called "Are You Better Off?" And I'm not sure if you saw that one, but it uses Ronald Reagan's famous, not speech, but the comments that he used in a debate against, I think it was against Jimmy Carter in the 80s. And where he asked, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Are you able to get food easier than you were 4 years ago? Do you have more money than you had 4 years ago? And a bunch of questions like that. And as I thought about that speech and listened to the words, I was like, this is just too perfect. Like, it describes our time right now too perfectly. And so I put that together. I cut it. I posted it on our account. I ate lunch. I then looked at my phone after, and I had like 2,000 notifications on my phone. And I was like, all right, what's going on here? And after that, we sort of realized, okay, this is what we have to be doing. Like, the articles are cool, they're cute, people like them, whatever, they get a quick buzz. This is how we can make an impact.
I would say that was the first video that caught my eye as well. I was like, oh, they have something here. Like, I was like, they have something here. What is this going to be? And for what it now became, like your latest video, the looters, to me was impactful as well, because you have the media really pushing a narrative about how protesting are looters, and Trump coming out saying when looting starts, shooting starts, and having to delete the tweet, and all these things are happening with the term looters, and the narrative is being shifted. But what your video did is show that what a lot of other people, and I know a lot of my fellow brothers and sisters have been talking about, is America, all the stuff in museums are looted. If you would go back to, Romans, or I just came from Italy last summer, like all that stuff, they literally built coliseums and kingdoms off of things they looted from Africa and all these things. So when I saw your video last night, I was like, oh man, like this is exactly what people relate to. Like, what was your thought process just going into that and making that video, Looters?
Yeah, so I mean, we saw all this stuff happening too, and we saw the media narratives being spun, and we saw Trump saying going on his racist diatribes, and obviously he's been doing it forever, since the Central Park Five. But then you go to Kaepernick when he said, "Get that son of a bitch off the field," to now. I mean, there's a whole history of him, and you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Kaepernick for kneeling, son of a bitch. Protesters getting angry, why aren't they peacefully protesting? And the media kept putting this narrative out about these violent protesters, and we were just like, who's really stealing is the people in the White House, who have been stealing from the American people for the last 4 years, and before that, then they'll continue to do it after this. And so we thought of this concept. We wanted to do a project about the corruption of the White House, and a lot of people were kind of requesting us to do pieces on Jared and Ivanka and various elements of it. But we thought this was the perfect framing for the time, because with the timeliness of it, I thought it was just too good. So our conceit, our concept was that the real looters are in the White House, and they're stealing from you, and they lie, they cheat, and they steal. And honestly, the final cut was like 1:20 or something. My first string out of moments of the corruption was like 8 minutes long. Like the hardest part was cutting it. I think I could make a documentary on it. Netflix hit me up. Let's talk. But the corruption was so vast, and and so damaging to people that we just want to get those messages out, because I feel like they're not being talked to about. And going to what your point was before, somebody actually tweeted at us, and I thought this was pretty smart. Just because you're wearing a suit doesn't mean you're not a looter. You know, just because you're in power, it doesn't mean that you're better than anybody else, and aren't doing things that are maybe 10 a million times worse than what you're accusing people of. So I just want to make sure that that's, known.
Yeah, no, I think that's the powerful. I'm getting chills talking about, because I feel like that's the powerful thing that we just as people need to make sure that we don't let media shift the narrative. We don't let the White House or people quote unquote in power label what's really going on, and because that's not like
No,
they
and
don't.
I was just
Yeah,
go, I was just going through videos, and it's like, why are the police rioting? Huh? Like, the police seem like the rioters to me. They're the ones who are mowing down their own their own residents with cars. They're the ones shooting reporters with rubber bullets, pepper spraying people who have their hands up or who are kneeling. Um, I mean, that's the behavior that I think we need to stop. And in addition to that, you have these far right groups like the Proud Boys and things like that, dressing in all black garb, but causing
Hmm.
chaos to try to agitate these neighborhoods and try to act like other communities are the ones doing the damage, when it's these people who are causing the damage while you have peaceful protesters alongside them. And so it's just really gross, reprehensible behavior. But I don't want to also discount the moments, the positive moments that I have seen, because within all the darkness, there has been some light. I saw a police officer today. I think it was maybe shot yesterday, but the police officer was actually engaging with the people and was saying, "We understand. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not your enemy. He's not your enemy. There are bad people, and we want to stop them as much as you want to stop them. The line he said is, let's turn this protest into a parade. Let's all walk together." And then they walked down the street, and that to me was inspiring. The Atlanta mayor talking about her son,
Hmm.
and her fear as a mother of her son going into the protest. That to me was inspiring. And there were some other instances too of police. And I saw one guy with a shirt that said he had like a free hug shirt or something, and he was hugging cops, and they were high fiving, and he was trying to calm both sides and say, "Hey, let's view everybody as people here.
Yeah.
Like there are monsters, but let's not assume everyone's a monster, whether it's because of what they're wearing, or whether it's because of their skin color or their badge or whatever." And so I'll say there's at least some positivity that left me a little hopeful throughout the chaos. I'm also concerned. I mean, it's hard not to be concerned. We're still in the middle of a pandemic, and I don't want that to be lost on anybody. And our whole thing was we need to be social distancing and we need to stay in, and for the common good. And then we started reopening stuff, which I think ultimately people were getting frustrated, and kind of the demand to reopen was just at a breaking point. But now
Right.
adding on a layer where you have hundreds of thousands of people in close quarters protesting, and especially a population that has been more vulnerable to the disease than any other group. I mean, I'm just scared for the spread of that, and what that means for everything.
So
And I hope that it gets under control.
you acquired, to me, which is probably one of the most bossiest moves of 2020. You acquired Mega 2020.com.
Uh-huh.
Please explain how that came about, and just what was the thought process of like, I'm gonna get that.
So this was like the greatest thing ever, and honestly, it kind of just fell in our laps. So we told the story about how my brothers and I started this
Right.
company, and we've gained a lot of followers over the past few weeks. We should have 22,000 Twitter followers today. We're getting upwards of 10, 20 million impressions a month on our videos and stuff on Twitter, and it's, I mean, the reach is real. And we started to have some dedicated fans who really are inspired and by our work, and reach out to us and talk to us, and we try to respond to every fan and everyone who donates and everything. So somebody DM'd us and said, "Hey, I own MAGA2020.com. I've owned it for a few years. I've held on to it. I've done nothing with it because I don't know what to do with it. You guys, I feel like you guys could do something with it. Do you want it?" I said, "Do I want it?" Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so we went through the process. You got to like deal with the domain registrars and figure out how to transfer the ownership. and you pay a small fee to get it. And so I acquired it yesterday, and it just so happened to be the timing where we released the video of the looters. And so at first we were thinking, let's put just the looters on the site. And when people go to MAGA 2020 thinking that they're going to go to a Trump site, they see a video about Trump stealing from America. But then we figured, like, hey, let's just make it like a catch-all for our top like 4 videos. And so, and if anyone goes to MAGA 2020, they'll see like the greatest hits of Midas Touch, and it will not be what they're expecting from the Trump people. And it's the ultimate Trump troll, and it's really fighting fire with fire, because it's a move that they would do, and they should have had the domain, but they have an incompetent social media manager and campaign director who didn't get the domain, and who spends all of his money on enriching himself and buying yachts and condos and Ferraris and all these various things with the campaign money, rather than do his job of securing MAGA2020.com. So we got our hands on it and we launched it yesterday, and the internet loved it. We got so much love on the post, and people were dying. A lot of people were saying like that it was, the one moment of levity in the past few days for them was seeing that we took over MAGA2020.com. And so check it out, MAGA2020.com. Tell all your conservative friends to check it out.
I know when I seen it last night on Twitter, I was like, wait, what? Like, how did this guy
do this? MAGA. So our name is Midas Touch. So we called it Midas Against Grifter Autocrats. And that's our MAGA. We're against the grifter autocrats in the Trump administration. So that's our new baby. And I think it will be the gift that keeps on giving. Anytime something happens, then we could use that site for good. That site we can just change it to whatever we want. So
and so just like ending off, where do you feel that with the fallout, because we're facing, 2020 has been one hell of a year. Right. Like, I feel like we dealt with a lot of mental health issues that we're going to have to deal with, or we caused a lot of mental health issues that we're going to have to deal with in the future years, starting from January, February, every single month, but something is happening and we're not able to have the time to heal. With the fallout now of COVID, or post-pandemic, rather, not even a fallout of COVID, because that'll continue, but the post-pandemic Stay-at-Home Act, and then the killing of Ahmaud going viral, the killing of George Floyd going viral, and all the others. And now we're just seeing literally a slew of other unarmed African-American people that was killed within this year, that's been coming out, like more and more, that's been kind of swept under the rug. How do you feel the administration is handling that? And now we're approaching an election. How do you feel that the other side should be handling that?
I mean, I think the current administration is doing a horrible job, and if anything, they've stoked a lot of this violence. Not that the violence didn't exist before they came in, because there were protests and there was police killings and there was all the stuff beforehand. But when you tell cops to rough them up, when you tell the NYPD to use force, and then they run over their own citizens, I mean, I think they're doing a horrific job. And I think everything's a dog whistle with this administration to play to these white nationalist factions of the party, which is, during the Obama years and stuff, you always like kind of assumed, and growing up, the years we grew up, you always assumed America's bad. And this could also be naive because I'm in a place of privilege, but America's bad, but at least we're moving towards good. Like, all the bad, really horrific stuff that happened, and now we're on our path up. But I think, and those voices on the far right were always marginalized as the crazies, as people who you can't take seriously. And what Trump has done is he's taken those people out of the shadows and given them a platform. And now those people are that party. Those people are that side. And that's what's so scary to me, that these people are so emboldened and that they could go out there and wave Nazi flags and put up white power symbols and do this in public. They used to wear hoods. Now they're just outside in hoodies. It's like,
or with bow and arrows, and then claiming they got jumped by 2 black people and it was no black people at all. Like,
which is crazy. And I'll also say, like, thank God for technology, because I think there are so many things that could have went really bad that are now prevented because people were able to capture things on their phones. And the most clear example to me was the woman in the park the other day who was with her dog.
Yep.
I'm not sure if you saw that clip. I mean, that woman could have gotten that guy killed easily.
Well, the quote that Will Smith said was, you know, racism isn't getting worse, it's just being filmed, right? Racism isn't getting worse, it's being filmed. That was a prime example of, I don't care if you're filming me, I'm still going to use this line because I know that this is what I'm supposed to do in this situation. So if somebody was to have, like, that's like, if you're in trouble, you call 911, right? Like if something was to happen, you call 911. Her innate ability, like to think like, oh, I'm going to call 911 and tell them that a black man is attacking me.
Yeah,
like, because I
intrinsically know they'll believe that, and they'll act on that, and they'll hear my fear, and why would I lie? And then this poor guy could get at best arrested, and at worst killed.
Yeah,
for nothing.
And she did it on camera.
And I don't know what her political beliefs are, but I think that sort of behavior also is apolitical. I think it could span. I think any person could behave like that, and it's something that needs to be eradicated from society. But to your point about what the next administration needs to do, I mean, I think the biggest thing, and I think one of the bigger sells of Biden, if he were to become president, is at minimum it's a return to normalcy. It's a reset to zero, right? We are in such a crazy place that at least we know this guy, he may say stupid things and he may gaffe or whatever. The stupid things he says, to me, pale in comparison to the actions that Trump does to harm communities and to stoke violence. And everyone who I've ever talked to about Biden, who's known him or been around him, everyone says he's a decent guy. He's a good guy. He cares. He was in the Obama administration for 8 years, and they did a lot of good, in my opinion. They brought back a country that was really, then people forget, we were headed for a really terrible economy. All the banks were failing. The housing market was failing. And things were looking really bad. And they saved the auto industry, and they brought the economy back on track. So, I mean, I want a steady guy in there who's not going to be tweeting all day, who's not going to be stoking racism, who is not afraid to admit when he's made a mistake. Like, I think that's a big deal. We did a video called Leaders Take Responsibility, and it went back and it showed, we did a bipartisan take. So we showed everyone from Reagan to George Bush to Obama. And we had them, the concept was that leaders are supposed to strive for greatness, but occasionally they fall short. And when they fall short, when they mess up, they apologize. They take responsibility. And it was that contrasted with Trump's endless denial of responsibility, saying, I don't take responsibility for that. I don't take responsibility for the COVID response. I didn't stoke violence. I said, okay, so I said, punch him in the face. Why would that stoke violence? I was just saying that as a joke. You know, it was sarcasm. It was that. So, I mean, I want somebody who could humble themselves, who could admit when they've done something wrong, who could really bring this country back to normal. And then we can work on the other stuff. Like,
right.
like I just think we're in such a dire time right now. Like, things are so bad that the first step, and I would vote for my dog over Trump, and I think she would do a better job.
I mean, she's a great dog. I met her. She's a great dog. So,
but I mean, I think he's just doing such damage that I think just having that new leadership in there to begin with will help set us on a better course. And I think all the policies that they bring and the judges that, you know, right now Trump is stocking the court with these ultra right-wing judges who are coming down on all these, and people don't talk about it. And he's doing it from the Supreme Court, but down to all these local courts as well, local federal courts. And that's going to have a generational effect on the country, and laws and criminal justice and abortion, and you name the subject. It's
Yeah.
I mean, he's really dismantling the whole system from within. And so I think electing a Democrat into office is really the most important thing that we could do to help. And are we still going to have to fight after that? Are things going to be better? Are we going to be a healed country? No. But is it the first step towards at least getting us back on track and showing that this guy is not who we are as a country? I think yes, and I think it will send the message to the world. I think it will send the message to the rest of the country. And I think the Republicans will turn so fast on the guy if he loses,
Oh, for
and they
sure.
will, and like I think it'll be like sharks, smelling blood in the water. I think they will.
Mm-hmm.
I think they will disown him so quickly. And we also cannot forget, all the people who have aided and abetted this behavior, who, as recently as a couple of years ago, were saying that he's a xenophobic bigot, that he's bad for the country. And now they just take his side because, I don't know, they want a conservative judge, or they want a tax cut, or I don't, or they have something on them. I don't know what it is, but is it worth it? I don't think so.
And I don't think so either, man. Look, I appreciate the conversation. We like to end the show on a little bit of a high note and put like smiles on people's faces. So we do like a little bit of a lightning round, which is really light. It's a lightning light round. So just real quick, whatever comes to your head is either this or that. So let's start with let's go Fall Out Boy or My Chemical Romance.
Fall Out Boy.
Okay.
I was on Fall Out Boy from like what was the first album with Saturday and all those?
Midnight. It was the Moon one, right? Wasn't it that?
Yeah.
That Fall Out Boy is my band.
I'm messing up the lightning round.
Yeah, messing up the lightning round. Yeah, so,
I love NPR too.
Bad Boy or Rockefeller?
I mean, come on.
Yeah. How to do it?
Bad Boy for life.
Bad Boy for life. Okay. Nike or Adidas?
I've been an Adidas guy lately. I was always a Nike guy growing up, but the Adidas boosts converted me.
Okay.
I got them on right now, actually.
Okay, all right. Yeah, the Adidas boost is interesting, but we'll talk about that later. Continue.
I just got the boost slot. Continue. Go on.
Right. NFL or NBA?
NBA.
Nice. Let's go with let's do a last one. Let's try to really spice it up here. Skittles or Starburst?
Ooh. I have to go Skittles. I'm gonna have to go Skittles on this one. Good movie theater snack.
Movie theaters are home.
Yeah, well, I'm never going to a movie theater again. So good home theater snack. Right. You don't have to look for the two flavors that you like in the pack.
This is very true. This is the two flavor. This is very true, man. Look, thank you very much for joining us on Intercession. In the meantime, I can't wait to sit down with you in person when the world opens up again officially. We appreciate what you're doing with everything you do, but especially Midas Touch. What you and your brothers are doing is an incredible thing, and it really shines a light on the things that really need to be shined upon because of the narrative that is being spun by mainstream media. So thank you for that. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you, Neeson, and congrats on the show and everything you're doing. I mean, you guys are killing it, and I really love everything you've shown me so far. And you're just a super talented guy. I don't know if everybody knows how much you do, but from this to music to acting to comedy to whatever, like you do it all, and you've always just been incredible at all that. But thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem, man. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. And you have been in a session with Brett Meiselas. I said it right?
Nailed it.
Look at that. All right, guys.